Hey, beautiful people. How are we doing? I am Anitra and Lawson, storyteller, producer, educator, and content creator. He is Dr. Andre Evans.
What's good, savage siblings?
The brother that I never wanted, author, pastor, father, all the above. We are the Savage Siblings, and this is Savage Sibling Podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Thank you for joining us again for another episode. Bro, what's been going on?
Not a whole lot. We have been spending the week, my church that is, getting prepared for us to, I don't even think I shared this with you yet, getting prepared for us to do a relocation. We've been looking at, we're in serious conversations. Yeah, we're in serious conversations to purchase land and begin starting with just kind of like a prefab construction and putting on it and then building it out. And we really feel like we know the neighborhood where God really wants us to be permanent in. So we're looking at doing kind of like this stopgap location so that we can introduce ourselves to the community. So while we're finished purchasing the land and putting on the first structure, they at least kind of know who we are. So we're in this relocation process, and kind of immediately, what I had to kind of share with the executive team is, we came here, we got all we can out of this location. We really build and strengthen who we are as an executive team. So, I want to make sure that everybody understands that every season, kind of has a purpose. And we didn't, I've got to motivate them to understand that we didn't waste any time here. We built who we needed to be as a core team. And so the biggest thing is let's not walk away from this situation saying, or even beginning to think that we wasted time or we shouldn't have been here. That's not the case. Let's walk away with knowledge at the very least. And the knowledge is, kind of who we've been, who we are now. The knowledge is, how we have become stronger. Let's not look at it as a moment where we quit, but instead a moment where it was time to move beyond. And I'm not saying that any of them felt that way. I just wanted to make sure we were motivated to understand that, it's time to let this part go. It's time to move beyond this season. We don't need to stay here any longer. So that's it's been a week of motivating, the transition, motivating the change, relocating. And that comes with fear, sometimes doubt and questioning. But you got to know when it's time to move on, and you got to know whether or not you need to stay a little bit longer. So it is exciting, but that's what we've been dealing with this week. How about you? What's been happening with you?
Huge congratulations. I love it. For me, I've just had this really interesting unction, just in my prayer time about completion. So I know I'm moving into a season of completion. And so it's something that God's been talking to me about, a few other things specifically. But what's cool is my no game is getting really good.
Nice.
Nice. Because I'm stopping to say, is this something that I can complete? Right. So it's like, even something as simple as when Malachi is like, Mom, we should play Monopoly. And I'm like, Monopoly is notoriously a long game.
Long game.
How about we play Connect 4? Best out of 3. And so just finding ways to make sure that because I'm entering and in a season of completion, that I really am very mindful of what I say yes to, so that I can make sure I can execute each thing to completion. And so I'm just at the beginning of that and excited because there's a lot of things in this next season that are going to get pushed out. And so it's good. So like I said, my no game or my yes and, if I don't say no, I say yes and we can do that next week. So I'm learning to just really, hone in and I can say all in the name of completion, which I know is a divine
that's good
for me, because those who know me know that I love to say yes to a lot. And so it's good. So that's kind of what's been on me, and it's working well. I'm smiling about it. So nice. I'm super happy.
That's dope. Nice. Good deal. Well, cool. Let's get into this sound off.
Sound off segment. Sound off.
Sound-Off?
Yeah, we've titled this episode Tapout. And the thought there is knowing when to quit or if you should see it through. And it reminds me when we started talking about this episode, it reminded me of my interaction with Dad all throughout life, through my teenage years, I should say, all throughout my teenage years. And yes, and through life, because he has said it to me, what I'm about to say, he has said it to me as an adult. And I believe one of Dad's favorite statements or questions to me was, what did we learn? And that's exactly how he said it. What did we learn? Because he Dad, right. Dad would let us go through our bumps in life, right? Dad's going to let us go through the decisions that we make because he needs us to learn, a better understanding of, when it's time to let things go or when it's time to hold on things. So his favorite question to me, when clearly I held on too long, was, what did we learn? Because at the end of every mistake or experience that didn't work out the way you thought it should work out, you better learn something from it or you're going to go right back into it. And as I got older, he would get more sarcastic with it when I understood what he was asking. And the thing about Dad is it's a sarcastic, crazy, what did we learn question, but he still expected you to answer it. And so he was just kind of, he would stand there, right? He would just stand there like, I know you heard the sarcasm, but you're still going to answer. And I'd have to be like, well, what I learned, Dad, was, and then I tell him whatever I learned. But as I got older, what did we learn? I tell him what I learned. And he started getting worse because then he would start singing that Teddy Pendergrass song. I think I better let it go. And then just walk out. Right? And just walk out. And so I would just, that's the one I would just, but the way that embedded in me is now I would then, and I do now, before I can move on to what I may have perceived as a disappointment or a failing moment, before I move on to what my mind wants to see as something negative, I hear Dad, what did we learn? And I got to answer that question to myself. I got to answer, what did I learn here? Because I ain't finna come back in this again. I'm not getting ready to do this cycle. I'm not going to go back in this again. And what I'm learning, what I had to learn there is so much, or maybe I should ask it this way. How much of what we learn in life depends on how big the difference is between what we expected and what actually happened. Right? I may want to say this didn't work out the way I thought it was, and that's why I held on too long. But then the question becomes, well, what did you think was going to happen? And is that expectation so far off from the reality of why you got into it in the first place that really, before you get into things, maybe you need to think a little bit different, which is why I like what you said. How's this going to come to completion? Right, how's it going to come to completion? Because it's not about, a lot of times when I'm learning here, when it comes to tapping out, just like, okay, I've had enough. Let me cut my losses. A lot of what I'm learning is that although mistakes are usually poorly regarded, so like, this didn't work out the way I thought it was, so we poorly regard that. Nevertheless, everything, good or bad, the way it ends, good or bad, will always help us to get to the right ending we want in terms of the reason why we got into it in the first place.
We got into
So you had a divorce. That divorce is still going to help you get to the marriage you've always wanted, which is the reason why you got into that marriage in the first place. So what? You failed at this job. What did we learn? Because ultimately, it's still going to get you to the purpose as to the reason why you took the job in the first place. So if no other further errors occur when you take what you learn, then you understand the behaviors that you need to have going into the next situation until you get the next error. And then you got to add something else.
And there will be more.
And there will be more. So every time I get into something, I preemptively hear my dad, what did we learn? I don't know yet, Dad, because we ain't started. But believe me, I'm going to answer that question that very condescending, judgmental question when I fail this time. I'll be able to answer to you. What did we learn? And, so yeah, that's my sound talk.
Dad is like our version. He's like our version of Dr. Phil, right? Dr. Phil says, "How's that working for you?
How's that working out for you?"
and they have to stop and process. Like, this is not working well at all.
Right. And see,
like, he won't say anything else. Just let you have to figure it out.
and he lives to say that. So my thing is if you knew this wasn't gonna work when I got in, like, I don't understand. Like, and I know Dad's response because you gotta learn for yourself, and we do. But if you can be sarcastic and ask me what I learned, then I can come back at you and ask, why didn't you teach me before I had to learn to answer this question in the way that I had to learn?
You know you're wrong. You know you're wrong, right? You know you're wrong.
Right. Yeah.
You bring up a great point about expectations, and often the dilemma is that, we stay in something because we're enjoying what's happening. We love everything about it. And then we find out later that, we should have pulled out.
Yeah.
Even that phrase, tap out. So we're, you and I are products of the 80s going into the 90s and let's say 70s for you, but 80s for me. And I remember because you were my older brother and you were a bully with some of the big screen TVs in our house. Most of the time you were watching wrestling. And and I say you, which meant that if I wanted to watch any television, I, had to probably watch it too. Until I could find it, the basement TV or somewhere else. But it was always a thing. I don't even know if it was WWF or WWE. Because when I say
in the 80s, it was WWF.
There we go. So this was your thing. So I remember names like, Macho Man, Randy Savage. And I say remember loosely. Like, this was who you watched, right?
Yeah.
Andre the Giant was easy to remember because he, you guys had the same name.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Hulk Hogan, I believe, was another big name during that particular generation for the WWF. But we're talking about this notion of, when to quit, right? Or when to lean in or press in. And the few, because I didn't watch a lot, but the few, matches that I watched with you, I feel like every single time that Hulk Hogan was fighting, was wrestling, that he always ended up down and just beat, disheveled. Yeah. And I actually went back and looked at a couple of YouTubes just to make sure that my memory, of that age now was still, and I'm like, he is always just getting mollywopped and pent up and beat, and it never fails. And I remember even talking to you back then, just thinking he sucks, like he's going to be losing. And you would always say, no, Nikki, no. And then I don't know if you guys called it like the hulking up or the shake or whatever name that all the diehard fans knew, but you guys knew no matter how bad it looked to the layperson or to the naive eye, the one that's not, versed in wrestling, you knew that somewhere Hulk Hogan was going to find this resurgent of strength and adrenaline is, at his darkest moments, like classic Star Wars for me, right? Like he's going to get that inner thing and start just coming out of nowhere, breathing and wagging and shaking his finger. No. And then before you know it, 2 or 3 quick moves and whoever, was his opponent was going down. But in my mind, I kept telling you, bro, he needs to tap out. He just need to quit. Like tap out. And you were like,
no.
Oh, wait.
You knew
something
with Hulk
deep
Hogan,
within.
Yeah. You knew with Hulk Hogan that the ref was going to try to count him out. He's going to get 2. And that hand would shoot up in the air and it starts shaking. Like it was shaking, like it was receiving power from the wrestling gods. And he got up with all power. Let me stop.
He got up. It was so funny, but to me, it was such an important, it's just really an important lesson. I think we've even seen it in other sports as well. Like I remember, and forgive me, I'm drawing a blank, but I've seen it with a lot of Olympic swimmers.
Sure.
And I just where they've been in these matches, and even their coaches will say they're watching them as they're competing, and they'll say there's a moment where we can see their face or see something shifting. No, no, they're and as we've talked about this in previous episodes, but they're in this zone.
Yeah.
And I think what's so interesting about our conversation today is that it's an important question. knowing when to tap out, because, we're taught so often that tapping out or quitting in our society is not the best choice. Like, we're kind of groomed to want to lean in. But there's a power and an importance in recognizing when you should tap out versus when you should lean in, see it through, push forward. So this is a conversation we're going to dig into today. So in the spirit of the 80s WWF, shout out to Hulk Hogan.
So real quick before we go to the sponsorship segment and stuff, there's I want you to look how we both kind of responded to the Hulk Hogan or even the live sporting event. You felt like he should tap out. I felt like, no, there's something more. Just wait. And it really is the same question that we're asking ourselves when we're at the verge of saying, do I walk away and cut my losses, or do I stay in it? And it's the same kind of adrenaline or activity that's happening with you when you're watching that live sporting event, because there's an appeal there. And that appeal is there's always this inherent unpredictability. I don't know. I don't know if I can pull this out, or I don't know if it's going to consume me. But whatever it is, I feel like I can't give up too soon and I can't give up too late. And oftentimes that's why we struggle with making the choice. When do I quit or do I keep going? Because of the unpredictability. You don't know if you're going to lose. You don't know if you're going to win. But at times, though, what we kind of have to remember, or sometimes I should say we kind of forget, is there's a sensitivity to the unexpected. There's a sensitivity to that unpredictability and the outcomes that come. And that sensitivity can either cause you to not be able to make a decision. So that's the flip side. On one side, you got to make a decision, but sometimes that fear will debilitate you and you just get stuck and you can't make a decision. And that also then begins to impact, because it's the decision that plays the key role. And not only your ability to go with the leave or the stay, but that decision is a key role in your ability to learn. Remember, that's why I said, Dad would always say, what we learn? Because part of that decision, the greatest part of that decision is the learning aspect. We got to learn from the decision. If I'm going to stay in it, even if it's the wrong decision, I better learn from it. If I'm going to leave, even if it's the wrong decision, I better learn from it. I better learn from it. That's the key. Good. That's the key aspect, or that's the key role there is understanding the learning process. And, the world we live in, the relationships we have, the situations we get in, they're highly unpredictable. And because they're highly unpredictable, we're always able to learn. If they were predictable, if they were highly predictable, you'd never learn. And you never learn at all because you already know, right? So, when we're looking at making the decision to tap out or stay in, to me, the key part there is the learning. And it doesn't matter if it was a good decision or a bad decision, what'd you learn? Because the next decision is contingent upon what you learn.
Yeah, that's so good. And speaking of decisions, we're glad that you decided to join us today. The sponsor for this podcast is Savage Siblings Podcast, and our podcast is all about perspective. We often discuss life's issues from the vantage point of respected experts, educated gurus, spiritual leaders, and various intellects in popular industries. But we are not the experts, just a brother and sister who love to discuss all facets of life. Right now, we're not at all. And we love to discuss life through the foundation of strong storytelling and told through the lens of the sibling experience, which is always fun. So again, thank you for rocking with us. Remember, we always endeavor to be brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Thanks for joining us.
It just sounds like you were saying we're very opinionated every time you say that. Like,
we are.
All right. You ready to get savage?
Let's get savage. I love it.
So
you kind of tapped into it.
No, go ahead.
You kind of tapped into it in terms of just how life can shape what we choose to tap into and what we choose to quit from. And I just want to throw a quick shout out to the sibling experience and kick it back to you. So I think just naturally being a sibling, it is, you learn tap out. Like I learned the whole premise of uncle, say uncle. I learned that from you, right? Even though you weren't allowed to put your hands on me because our dad and mom would hurt you.
Right.
You waited till they would leave and try to wrestle or pin me and say uncle, right? Like, so we really learn how to tap out when you have sisters and brothers, because there's usually an older sibling that's going to beat you at something.
Right.
And so I think the first kind of understanding of just competition and rivalry comes from being siblings. And, we have to learn how we ebb and flow through what we should tap out. So anybody that, doesn't have siblings, maybe this is different for you because it's really a counter to what society presents, right?
Right.
But think of it this way. Like you may want to be the one that hosts Thanksgiving dinner, but your brother's a better cook than you, right? So you got to tap out, right?
You got to tap
nobody's
out.
coming to your house. They going to tell you. You may want to make the mac and cheese every Christmas. They like, really, Nikki?
Right.
You know that Brenda makes better mac and cheese than you.
We need plasticware. We need plasticware napkins,
right?
Nikki.
Yeah, you can bring the plastic, right? You may want to be the lead singer of the group, but somebody else sings a little better. That's like the history of like all, those groups that are family groups. There's always a lead. I mean, Michael Jackson, right? The Braxtons. There's always someone that just has kind of a little edge. And so as siblings, we learn to tap out. I remember watching a really great documentary on Michael Jordan, and he talked about his brother Larry, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I learned how to be a great basketball player because I could never beat my brother. And he would remind me, you suck.
Yeah.
You're not as good. And Michael said it made him he would cry, he would get mad.
Yeah.
And he was like, the day that I beat my brother, and I don't think he talks about beating him repeatedly. I think he said the day I beat my brother, maybe just been that one day. I don't know, right? But he said he knew he was on his way to being all that he was made to be. I think about Reggie Miller, right? Like he literally will tweet out every year, Cheryl is the GOAT Miller. Like he understood. Like I'm dope too, but she's the GOAT when it comes to basketball. And this Miller, so he literally says she's the GOAT Miller. That's it. When you talk about Miller, she's the GOAT. Then to be. Right. He had no problem tapping out saying, hey, I got to recognize it. And it doesn't mean it wasn't painful.
Sure.
Doesn't mean that they enjoyed it. Michael Jordan talked about, hey, it was terrible. Like I did not like that my brother could beat me. I can think of plenty of things that you have beat me on. I'm just like, man, I can't wait till one day I'm better. I'm sure my nieces have had that experience.
Yes.
Or Malachi, his brother Marquise is just too many years apart. He's never going to catch him.
Yeah.
He has to realize it'll be years later. I might get something down the line. But siblings, we know how to tap out, whereas society teaches you never to quit. And here's the flip side of that that's equally dangerous when you stay too long. And again, not that we're making this a sports podcast, but how many times have we seen the greatest athletes stay too long?
Yeah.
Brett Favre.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's fair to say both of the Manning brothers stayed too long. I don't know. I'm not huge on football, but
I can see that statement.
Yeah,
I can see that statement.
And it could be it's hard to quit. It could be that it's all you know. I love Serena Williams, but I'm ready for her to just ride off. But then the flip side is that think about pass the baton. Yeah, the flip side is also think about Tiger Woods. It's a great example of how not quitting really did. Bring him to at least to one additional major success that nobody thought would happen.
Nobody saw
probably
coming.
At the darkest part of his life with all of the things he had to overcome and contend with. So it's such a great conversation. You think about Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, richest folks, on the planet who dropped out, who quit.
Right.
Who put their energy and focus in different capacities. And so it's an interesting conversation. So I'm going to kick it back to you. Then I have a couple of stories that we can delve into.
Yeah. So even if you look at both sides of what you're saying, one of the difficulties, whether it's staying in or walking away, so whether it's tapping out or just giving it your all, is regardless of what side you decide on, even if it's the bad, staying too long or quitting too soon, everybody, while you're in it, one of the things you understand when you make that decision is that there's always going to be some level of remnant related to the decision. So even if you say, okay, I'm cutting my losses, I'm leaving, the learning process means that there's still some remnant because you can't forget the lessons that this thing taught you, right?
Yeah.
And so then we really have to kind of look at, well, what does it really mean to tap out? What does it really mean to let go? And I saw this amazing quote by Jack Cornfield, and he's a psychologist. He says, to let go does not mean to get rid of. To let go means to let be. When we let be with compassion towards ourselves, things will come and go on their own.
That's nice.
And
That's
so if you think about that, and see, to me, that brings full circle why Dad always said, what did you learn? Because I can't let go and just forget it. And like it's never, no. There's always going to be a remnant, good or bad, painful or joyful. There's going to be a remnant. The connection is with what you learn, will you be better to yourself next time? Because as long as you're better to yourself, things will come and go on their own. Because when something realizes it can't use you, it's gone. When something realizes it can't bless you, it's also gone. When something realizes that it can use you, it'll force you to stay. When something realizes it can bless you, it'll stay to be a blessing. So you got to always take what you learn and be compassionate towards yourself. Be better to yourself. And things will come and go on their own. And that's really what letting go means. That's what tapping out really should mean. Can you be better to yourself than what you're in right now? Because listen, if you can be better to yourself, this thing trying to harm you, it'll go. Because it realize can't get nothing else out of you because you're better to yourself. So that's how I want to see it tapping out. But anyway, on to your stories. That's kind of what I was thinking in terms of. I love it. Yeah, this initial portion of getting savage.
I love it. It's also points to the importance of the decision to tap out or to stay, that it really is an individual choice.
It is.
That what makes sense for Andre may not make sense for Anitra when it comes to whether or not you should. And obviously we're in different people, different circumstances, but Anitra deciding to divorce or Monica deciding to divorce or any other person, it has to be an individual decision, and it's always tricky. So two stories I'm going to share really quickly that every time I share these stories, I'm always just stuck with, I don't know what I would do in this situation. And I think every time I share them, a lot of people have the same reaction, but it's two different fathers, two different circumstances. So the first one's a little bit heavier, but I'll keep it brief. So a former student of mine was working as a security guard, and a security guard that just had, flashlight, probably one of those sticks.
Okay.
Some mace, right? Okay. He was not armed, had no guns, nothing like that. And he worked at this corporate building. I believe it had several floors, but when he knew the people coming in and out, by and large, the employees that were there, and they come in, greet him, and then they go on in. This one particular day, it's just really unfortunate. He was at work, and one of the employees that worked there came in, and he knew, my former student. They recognized each other. And this man came in, bro, and he was carrying a Desert Eagle gun. Now, I don't know a lot about guns, but that is one of those that my understanding is it does damage. Like, absolutely. If you fire that, it's leaving stuff down. Yeah, absolutely. And it was visible.
Yeah. Oh.
And so my former student, who is the security guard, right, for this building, this man walks in and he calls my former student by name and he says, "My beef is not with you." And in that moment, my student, who has 4 children, who's working at this job, who is the only line of, and I'm just going to use quotes, air quotes, defense, because he doesn't really have anything to, has to make a decision with someone who, and thinking when he told me the story, the way he told it, bro, is he said that this man was so calm.
Right.
This wasn't like a panic, like nothing was hidden. It was very specific that he understood. Even though he said to me, so-and-so, my beef isn't with you, what he was really saying was, do you want to be a part of this?
Right.
Do you want to be the first situation? He was deciding.
Yep.
And so my student had to make a decision to just put his hands up, step back, let the man pass, and then immediately go into the emergency protocols, lock the building down, make phone calls, evacuate that floor. Unfortunately, that situation ended up in a murder-suicide.
Oh my goodness.
And so when he was telling the story, we talked about we were talking about in the context of writing, but he talked about, how did he feel? And there were so many people that thought like, well, if I were in your situation, I would have done something different, which we shut them down. Like, you don't know what you would have done, first of all,
exactly.
in that situation. But at the end of the day, he's thinking about his 4 children.
Right.
He's thinking about this space of whatever decision I make next could potentially impact the people that I am responsible for.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do what's in, the best interest of the life that I'm living.
Right.
Now, conversely, another example, also a father, this one actually made national news. It was out of New York. There was a gentleman with his 2 daughters standing on a subway platform waiting for the subway. And this father with his 2 daughters right there, another man also waiting on the platform went into a seizure and apparently fell off into the tracks. And I in New York, sometimes there's layers of tracks. You remember this one?
Yeah.
And this man had to make a decision because the train was coming and there wasn't a lot of time. It was either let this happen or see if I can do something. He chose to jump on there, flatten himself and the body of the other gentleman down. And, praise God, they survived. The train ran over them, but they survived and were able to come up out of that. And I remember when I read that story and heard about this, on one, I was like, that's great. Then I kept thinking, I wonder what his wife said when he got home.
Sure.
I kept thinking, I wonder how his kids felt. Like,
Father! Right.
And then their faces, and then the trauma of a train ran over him. Like, you have no idea what's coming on the other side of that. And then he's like, I'm okay. Right. It's like, woo, that could have gone wrong.
Right.
Like, and so I thought about these 2 stories of these 2 different fathers.
Yeah.
And I thought it was appropriate for our discussion today because, like you just said, it's not necessarily an easy decision because of the uncertainty that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to work.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be as extreme as these 2 examples, but it still applies to the decisions that we make in life, is that at the end of the day, we don't know.
Yeah.
But it still doesn't remove the fact that you're going to have to, life's going to require you to make decisions. It's going to require you to say, yes, I'm going to lean in and move forward in this particular circumstance. Or, you know what? This doesn't work for me. I'm going to tap out. And I don't feel bad about that. Because certainly my former student, he said every day I would do it again. Every day I would do that again. I'm telling you, if I was in a situation, I would likely be like, that's heartbreaking to know that someone, 2 people died. Yeah. Right. But at the end of the day, he had to make the decision that made sense for him. Sure. And that father the father in New York probably never would have, he would have felt bad, or he would have felt like the choice I made to try to save a life and help someone who wasn't able to save themselves, I was able to do it. So these are the things that I guess we're looking at. So let me let you kick it back to you in terms of how do we, know when you should see it through. We talked about tapping out, but maybe you want to move to see it through.
So I want to piggyback, or I'll segue from your 2 stories to just kind of how do we know when to let go or see it through? In both of those stories, both of them pulled from resources that made them give the response they gave. Okay. So with the first story, notice the details you gave. His resources were, I've got a flashlight. So they didn't give me a gun. And his resources were, I've got a family. And so these are my resources in which I'm going to make a decision on. So the first thing I'm looking at when I got to make a decision whether to stay in or let go, what are my resources? I wonder if he'd have made a different decision if he had a bulletproof vest and a gun and a semi-automatic.
So good.
Right?
So good.
That's a different choice, because I heard I heard him say to you, I had a family. What I would have been saying to myself is, they didn't equip me with a bulletproof vest and a gun. Had they equipped me with a bulletproof vest and a gun, I'm there. This is my job. I'm there. And in my mind, my worst case scenario is I'm going to the hospital because a bullet hurt me, but it didn't get through the bullet. They get through the Kevlar or the Teflon.
Yeah.
So that's the decision. So and then the same thing with the guy at the subway. There's a moment where you say, what can be accomplished? Do I have the resources to save this man? Now, I'm not saying in his mind he knew he was going to flatten himself, but he may have been saying in his mind, I'm going to pick him up and throw him on the platform and get up there before the train comes. Then realizing that didn't come, he saw the space and said, oh, we can go flat.
Yeah.
But nobody else knows that. Right. So now would I have made that decision? No, because no. I'd have prayed. That's my resource. My resource is God. God healed this man. And healing sometimes means going to heaven. But it is what it is. I am who I am. But in his mind, he may have known.
The train, Lord.
Right. But listen, like the 3 Hebrew boys, even if you don't stop the train, I'll still praise you because this man shall be healed from his seizure disorder in heaven. It is what it is. I mean,
you would have been the father that covered your daughter's eyes. Like, don't look away, look away.
Lord, save this. My daughters would have seen me praying. Lord, save this man. But even if you don't, I'll still praise you. Because those are the resources I'm pulling from. But in his mind, he saw himself as a resource. So you make that decision. Yeah. So when you ask the question, how do you know when to let go or to see it through? All kinds of psychologists will tell you that you already intuitively know what you should do.
That's so good.
You already intuitively know because in that moment, especially in your 2 examples where things are happening, I'm snapping my finger here that quick.
Yeah.
You already intuitively know what you're going to do. So when it comes to decisions that you can take a little longer, do I stay with this?
Yeah.
Or do I tap out? If you intuitively know that you're satisfied, you'll stay. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
When you intuitively know that you're dissatisfied, you don't always leave. That's the problem.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's the problem. Because that's then where you're saying, but I don't know how this, that's where you go back to us watching wrestling.
Uncertainty.
I don't know how this is going to end. I don't know how. One of us is saying, nope, he's finna Hulk out. The other one is saying, nah, he should just tap out.
He's not going to make it.
Right. We don't know. And here's the crazy thing. Let's always
change
win.
To My Little Ponies.
Right. Right. See what? So that intuitive response, it's easy when we're satisfied. It's hard when we're dissatisfied. And that's then where we got to figure out why we're dissatisfied. Because the thought there is, I've got to make this decision because I have this interdependence on something.
Yeah.
I'm connected to something, a person or situation that I got to make this decision on. And anytime I have this kind of interdependence that enters into this relationship that I've got, whether it's with the situation or the person, the question becomes, are my goals / needs going to be met? And if they are, then do I make the decision to stay in it? But you also got to ask yourself another question. What is this person getting out of me hanging on? Or what will they get out of me letting go? Because some people will try to get you to stay in a situation because they're actually getting something out of you, getting drained and hurt and all that. So it's both. And the reason why you got to ask that goes back to what Dad said. What did we learn? We learned that some people will use you. Some people will abuse you. Some people need you.
If you let them.
Some people connected with you in this situation because you're broken, which means they need you to stay broken if they're going to keep getting stuff out. Yeah. But then there are some people who are going to rock with you, watch this, because they are going to see you gain success and they need you to be successful. So now you're staying in, not because it's easy, not because it's hard even, but because there's still success for you to have. And all parties need everybody to be successful. So it doesn't matter kind of which side you're on at the same time. I know we're going to compare outcomes. I know we're going to look at, what's the outcome going to be? But a lot of times what we need to look at is what's the relationship and the imagined outcome, right? because I don't want to focus on the outcomes. I want to focus on what's happening in the relationship, because here's where people get in trouble, where they stay too long or quit too soon. Chances are they were invested in the outcome instead of dealing with the relationship and the people and the situation. And anytime I'm more invested in the outcome than the journey, the relationships on the journey, I'm setting myself up for disappointment. You got to invest in the journey, not the outcome, because only God, or if you have a higher entity you serve, whatever it is, you don't know the details of the outcome. So don't get so emotionally invested in the details of the outcome that you miss the learning and the joy and the wisdom that comes with the journey. That's those things. That's what makes it hard to make a decision. Because when I'm not focused on the outcome, and I've learned not to do that, and I'm more focused on the journey and who's rocking with me, who's riding with me, who's walking with me. Oh, it's easy to make a decision then. Because if you ain't walking with me, we cut this off now. We headed in two different directions. We cut this off right now. But when I know I got someone who's saying, no, Andre, let's do this thing together. I've got a situation where all parts of the situation are saying, no, don't you give up. That means we're heading in the same direction. And that means when it gets rough, we're still walking. When it gets arduous, we're still walking. When it gets onerous, we're still walking. And we're good. I don't have to. I better not give up. This might be the only person equally yoked that's picking up the burden with me.
Come on now.
Okay.
Come on now. I'm designed to do it with you. Ooh,
Amen.
That's good. I think the two questions I ask when I'm thinking about, how do I know if I should let go or, when to see it through, are one, would I want my son or my loved ones to do this or be in it or, be in the space? If it's not something that, and sometimes when you take it like that and you put it in that perspective, it takes the, rose-colored glasses off. It takes away the filters.
Right.
And makes you, because you typically want the absolute best, for your loved ones or your children or whoever that important person is to you. And if you don't want them, if you wouldn't want them in the circumstance, if you wouldn't want them in the relationship, if you wouldn't want them in that job for 20 years, if you wouldn't want them being undervalued, underpaid, then why would you accept it for yourself, right? Why would that be a place that you're like, well, this is okay for me? And so I asked myself that question. If this were Malachi, would I want this to be his experience, his journey? And like you just said, not cutting off the journey, not focusing even on the outcome. Would I want him to be experiencing this? Would I want him to be walking through this journey? And if the answer is no, then I have to stop and say, you know what? Maybe this is something that I need to evaluate in terms of seeing it through. The other question is I always ask myself is, do I still want to be doing this, in this, experiencing this 1 year from now?
Oh, that's it.
3 years from now.
That's good.
5 years from now. 10 years. I kind of ask myself those questions. And sometimes you're like, I don't want to be doing this tomorrow.
Right.
Well, then that's how quickly you need to make a decision. If you're like, in about 2 or 3 years, it'd be good for me to be this next thing. Because that forces you to be forward thinking.
It does.
It forces you to think about the journey, right? It's not an outcome. Now it really is a journey. It's a year-long journey. Or should it be? It's a 5-year journey. Or should it be? And so it's so important to remind yourself of those kind of questions and mindsets so that you really can make the decisions of, you know what, I need to tap out sooner than later, or no, I got to dig in, I got to lean in, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm still passionate, this stuff is still working for me. There's more reward than frustration, right? There's levels to this that are saying, hey, this journey is worth it, so let me lead in. So let's say though, bro, someone decides, okay, I'm going to tap out. They decide, you know what, this isn't working for me. They've gone through this process, they've thought about the journey. How do they quit? Like, that's not always something we discuss, is how to quit, right? There's so many different ways you can approach tapping out. Once you've made that decision, how do you do it?
Yeah, so the first thing I'm going to say, and kind of going back before I move forward, is you said, you used the word evaluation, or just kind of looking at the journey, evaluating the journey. And I think a good part of that is are you equipped to keep going, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years now? Are you equipped to keep doing it? And I immediately, as you were speaking on that, and then this kind of helps me understand when I should quit and how to quit, if I should quit. because I told we were talking about relocating. It's time to leave where we are. How do we make that decision? Excuse me. One of the things I realized is that it was the equipping of the people who I'm connected to, because, you know, here's this church plant, and the goal is to build a building and get it paid for. And now we've got a place for fellowship and ministry and maturity, discipleship, missions, all that stuff, etc. Right? So if that's the goal, great. But that's not my focus. That's a goal, but not my focus. See, if I just focus on that building, I'm going to get disappointed because I don't know in the end, 5 years from now, what that building really will be. My focus is, am I equipped, and who am I with? Are they equipped in order to get us through the journey, the steps of getting to the goal? Because if they are not equipped for the journey, then what they've actually equipped you for is disappointment. If they are equipped for the journey, then then you need to stay in it. Well, so yeah, like you said, well, then what if you can tell you're not equipped for the journey? What do you can tell if it's time to quit? It's time to cut your losses. How do you do that? There's this quote that I tell people, because I think when you think about how do I quit, I think we look externally. You know, let me wait till they give me a reason and I can walk out. Let me wait for this situation to treat me so bad that I'm gonna leave it. But here's the thing with that keeps you bound, that keeps you chained. And here's the statement I make to people. Don't live in chains when you have the key.
Oof.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
Right.
Yeah.
Why am I going to wait on you to do something for me to leave?
Yeah.
When I got the key.
Goodness.
Sometimes we allow ourselves to be in this self-limited situation because we don't see our own ability to be without the outcome we so heavily invested in. Right?
Wow.
So don't be so invested in the right. You're so invested in the outcome that you let your pride not even allow you to recognize that you done lost everything trying to hold on to a goal that's no longer attainable because the situation, the relationship that you're in isn't equipped to get you there. And so we start to and then look at the mindset, the psychology about that. You start to think to yourself, well, I can't do this by myself. I can never make this happen by myself. So you're going to stay bound to something that's putting you in the wrong direction? See, if you truly believe you could never do it, truly believe that you could never make it happen, then you will never accomplish the goals. And that's the reason why you got into it in the first place. So how do we do it? First and foremost, open up your mind that you're not quitting. You've moved beyond.
You move beyond. Ooh, that's good.
Because see, if you say I'm quitting, then you think you're going backwards or you're diminished.
Yeah.
But if you say, you know what, I tried this, but I am beyond this. And I'm not saying you say that stuff you say to yourself in the mirror. You got to affirm yourself. I'm beyond this.
Yes, you do.
I'm beyond this. This is holding me back from what I am. Once you can open up your mind and say you're beyond it and believe in yourself, then there'll be so many opportunities that will see that energy, that will see that vibe you've got with yourself, that will see how you're positioning yourself mentally. And they'll help you prove the naysayers wrong. They'll help you prove people wrong who say you can never do this without him. Yeah, do this without her. Yeah, you can. You got the key. Unlock yourself and walk on. So to me, how do you, right. To me, how you quit? Well, number one, just again, realize within yourself, don't limit yourself. You got the key. And don't wait on them to mess up so you give them the reason why you got out. You don't need a reason to get out.
Right.
You don't need her. Intuitively, you already know.
Yeah.
You already know. That's like I go back to the security guard. Intuitively, he knew. Y'all didn't equip me for this. I ain't finna go up against a desert eagle. There's a reason why it's called a desert eagle.
Desert eagle.
Right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna go up against this. All I got is some polyester made in Taiwan and this 10 badge made in China, and you want me to go up against a desert eagle? Nah, we good, bro.
Listen,
You get
that's what he said. Oh no, the battle is not mine.
Right, it's the Lord's. Like, as soon as he said my beef ain't with you, I said amen, because I'm vegetarian.
It ain't at
Walk
all.
your way, brother. Walk your way. Walk your way, brother. Walk your way.
Plant-based protein.
Right. Listen, man. This is easy to quit. It's intuitive. You know, if you're not equipped for it, take the key that is you and unlock those chains. You are equipped for something. It don't have to be what you're in, but you are equipped for something. Unlock that chain, man. Go do what you're equipped for.
I love it. I love the move beyond, because so for me, as the circumstances in my life where I had to choose to move beyond, I think the other thing I'll just add is you have to really determine if it's a snatch moment or if it's a release moment, that Band-Aid.
Yes.
Once you know that you need to move beyond, the other pitfall can be you pick the wrong strategy to make it happen.
Right.
You then let it linger, right?
Yes.
Or sometimes you cut it off at the knees and then you do more damage or something that you just needed to gently release. And so for me, one of the relationships that I had years ago, just was not a good relationship. And so once I discovered and came to the awareness that I need to move beyond, it was a snatch. It was a Band-Aid situation. It was a quick conversation. Hey, this isn't working for me. I deserve better. You deserve better. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
And this is before everybody did all the blocking and all that stuff that you do on social
ghosting
media.
And all that.
But I had made, right? That wasn't a thing yet, right? So I had made the decision and he continued to call, but it didn't matter because I had snatched it off. So I just had to go through the process of now not answering. And eventually he understood, that she's moved on.
Yeah.
On a different perspective, when I decided to quit smoking, that took a coordinated effort for me. It's different for everybody else. That was a coordinated releasing, right?
Yeah.
And it honestly started with prayer. Absolutely. It literally started with me saying, Lord, and I was holding a cigarette tray and I said, this pleases me, but it's killing me. I need your help, right? Because I like this right here. Right? And after time of just pray, and I had to first just kind of pray and be really, to be honest, just be transparent with God. Said, I'm not going to try the patch. I'm not going to try, and I'm not knocking any of these strategies. I'm saying figure out if it's a snatch or release for you, for your tapping out. For me, that was a release process where I had to talk to God first.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't foolish enough to try to quit for Anitra while I was in college because I had too much freedom. I strategically waited until I went home to my grandmother's house for Christmas.
Yeah.
For 2.5 weeks where I wasn't allowed to smoke anyway.
Right.
And so it's like, number one, you can't smoke in that house. Number two, you don't have a car because you're just here visiting. And number three, it's, 40 degrees below death outside. So you're not even remotely interested in getting a cigarette high over that cold. Right? So that was a coordinated release. So it was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on eating and other things, right? I'm going to strategically, and all jokes aside, the blessing with God was when I came back, I was over it. Never looked back. But so you really have to say to yourself, is this a situation I need to shut down? I need to tap out quickly and not play around with it for whatever reason. If it's a relationship, if it's a job, whatever it is, some of those you need to, strategically knock it out. And others, they need to be a release. You're trying to do it so quickly that you're causing more damage and you need to slowly open your hand and let it go.
Right.
Let it flow out, right?
Right.
And so you have to decide that. And that takes time. I think the other thing I'll add here before we jump into the how do you stay in it, with grace, is that one thing that my son's father taught me was great coaches always set their players up to have, their best chance at succeeding. They know that it's not their job to play the game for them. They can't. It's not their job to do, certain things to get in their head. All they can do is assess the circumstances and say what gives them their best chance at winning. And you have to do that when you're going through this journey of tapping out and leaning in is you have to be your best coach or go find a coach that says what gives Anitra her best chance at succeeding in this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether she's going to choose to tap out, there's a way to do it with grace and with success. Whether she's going to choose to lean in there's a way. So figure out those plays, figure out those strategies, figure out the things that are going to help you do this quitting, this tapping out with grace. Sometimes it's time.
Yes.
Sometimes it's no, you're going to tap out, but not right now.
Right.
You're going to tap out at this time, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's no, the time is now, move. Don't be afraid, just move. And that, speaking of fear, that's the thing you have to ask yourself in both cases when you're going to tap out is, what am I afraid of losing?
Absolutely.
Or what am I afraid of?
Absolutely.
If I tap out, what is that fear? And we're such a FOMO society that a lot of times we stay too long or leave too soon because of FOMO. Yeah. And it just cannot be, a deciding factor that you have to, as you just, mentioned, you have to believe that, what's for you is yours no matter where the journey takes you. So what's the flip side for you, bro, in terms of how to stay in it?
So for me, and I'm sure I'm going to get the echo of the ancestors of my gender, it's a commitment issue. It's a commitment issue. It is. It is. Because, it's how we value things. There's this great, great joke. I can't remember his name. I'll come up with it. I'm sure I'll remember it later. And I don't know if it's a joke per se, but it's just attitude on successful relationships that men have with women. And he always says, well, the value, his value dictates the value of the woman he's going to have in his life. So when he's broke, he'll have a woman that has like a broke level value, but as soon as he gets some money, all she got to do is cough and be like, is you sick? I can't do this no more. I got to find me another woman. so that's a commitment issue, because what do we place value on will allow us to know whether or not we have what it takes to stay. Do I place more value on who's walking this journey with me, the details of the content of the journey, and I mean journey meaning it's got to be progressive. If I don't put value on the content of the journey, and instead I put value on the outcome, then I will quit immediately. Immediately. Yep. And so the question becomes, when it comes to tapping out or staying in, where's your value? Where's your value? Because if I can find value in the journey, then I'm more likely to stay committed when everybody's equipped for the journey and we are all heading in the same direction. Commitment in and of itself really is like the cornerstone of human social existence. We have friendships based on commitment. We have the job we're in based on commitment. We have the lifestyle that we have based on commitment. And commitments, they do is they make individual behaviors predictable. I know who's committed to my journey or our journey, and therefore I know how they're going to use the resources that they're equipped with. And those resources could be tangible or intangible. I'll roll with somebody because I know they're committed to prayer. I'll roll with somebody because I know they're committed to problem solving. I won't always roll with somebody just because they're committed to cash or because their financial stability, because that don't guarantee they're going to use their finances to keep us going in the journey. As soon as they see me as broke, they're gone. And so that's that. So I got to stay committed to those who are consistent in and predictable in how they've been gifted and their resources and what they're equipped, because fluctuation is going to come, but commitment is what gets you through that fluctuation. So if we have a common desire, common interest, we're heading in the same direction, then all I got to do is ask myself, can you stay committed to the journey with this content, under this context? Because when you can, what commitment does, it will facilitate cooperation from your entire world, your entire environment.
Oh, that's good.
When folk know that you and at least one other person are headed in the same direction and y'all are committed, they're either going to say, you know what, let us help you on the way, or they're going to walk away from you because they don't, for whatever reason. It doesn't even matter their reason. But your whole environment starts to cooperate with you. And even when folk are walking away, they're still cooperating with you. Y'all, that's a shouting point. That's a shouting point for somebody right there. Even when folk reject you, that's still cooperation as long as you're walking in how you're equipped and you're determined. Listen, you got to thank some folk that walked out on you when they saw you at the beginning of your journey. Thank you for cooperating with my destiny. Because if you would have stayed your judgmental, ignorant, backstabbing, walk out, trifling, all that. And so then, if you got all those points, really the only fundamental question you're asking in terms of whether or not to stay, or in terms of why you're staying, you're asking yourself, well, what's your motivation for staying? Because sometimes when it gets rough, all you got is motivation.
Oh, that's good.
Now I would say, because of my, just the position I'm in life, sometimes all I got is faith. That's why I stay. Sometimes the only reason why I get out of bed, faith. Ooh, some people, you're going to talk with someone today that the only reason why they got out of bed is they have a motivation for staying. The motivation might be their kids. That's why they keep doing it.
Yeah.
Their marriage. That's why they keep doing it. Their health or well-being. That's why they keep doing it. Because Lord knows they got every reason to quit. But God says, or whatever their source of faith says, but what's your motivation for not quitting? It's like that moment where, I've dealt with people where they give me so many reasons why they should stop. And I say, okay, do you have one reason why you should keep going?
You should stay.
And if you got one reason why you should keep staying, does that one reason outweigh all the other reasons? If it does, that's good. You got to stay. And you got to keep going. And you stay committed. Because that's your motivation. That's your faith. Yeah. So to me, that's how you stay. What's your motivation?
That's so good.
And do you understand that you're equipped to stay committed?
That's so good. Oof. The only thing I would add to that is something God had, has worked on me with, and I'm getting better, is, once you make that decision to stay, we have to stop complaining.
You do.
Once you get to that side, because clearly the decision that you made was difficult. That's why you have the question of tap out or lean in.
Right.
But once you choose to lean in, stop complaining.
Ooh, that's a whole episode by itself.
Effectively. It is by itself, and I won't leave it too much, but stop complaining. Ride and rest in the decision that you made, the motivation, the commitment, and press through. And then the other thing is, don't waver.
Yeah. That's the faith. That's the commitment. That's the
faith piece, right? It's you've decided this, so you ride it out until you clearly know that, something else needs to happen. But I think because it's not easy, because clearly if it were easy decisions, we wouldn't have the conversation.
Exactly.
Right. But because they're not easy, decisions, they are difficult. We tend to say we're going to stay committed, say we're going to lean in, and then waste all of our energy complaining, waste all of our energy wavering, waste all of our energy questioning. Right. When that energy that you don't have a lot of, because difficult decisions take your energy naturally.
Right.
You need to put that energy into making sure that the choice you made, the decision you made is now moving forward, moving beyond. You don't have enough energy to give out like that.
Yeah,
not in complaining, not in questioning,
don't.
not in wavering.
You don't.
You don't have it. You only have a certain amount each day. You got to replenish it. You got to give it to different things. Don't give it to complaining.
Especially
and don't give it to wavering.
When our words have so much power. Like I don't care what you believe in, whether it's a human hearing you, or whether it's faith hearing you, or whether it's your enemies hearing you, or just the environment hearing. Words have power. And when you complain, you give power through those words for something that will cause you to have to eventually feel against or work against what it is that you're trying to stay in and get. So that's a whole episode by itself. But got to stop complaining and got to stop wavering. We gonna circle back to that one. Definitely.
I think the next one is yours, bro, in terms of the impact and the effect that you have to ask yourself after.
Right. So when we talked about this, I said it's the Thanos effect, right? Because I love that in A4 when he snaps and half the world is gone, and then he's got this vision with the baby Gabor, and she's like, "Well, did you do it?" He said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, what did it cost you?" And he said, "Everything." And that's the thing. That's the thing about this decision we have to make. Did you do it? Did you make a decision? Yeah. What did it cost you? Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying the cost is negative. I've had some decision I made to leave cost me some friendships. But where I am now, those friendships wouldn't have made it anyway. So that was actually a good cost. That was a great cost. And I would say that was an investment, right? Then there have been times where I stayed in something too long, and when it finally got out, what did it cost you? Well, it cost me money. It cost my pride. It cost pain. It cost me time. It cost me some things that I had to grow through. And, I would even say that that's not necessarily a bad or a good thing. It's going to cost. There are costs associated with making decisions. So now what you've got to do is, what is the cost of learning? That's the question. Mm-hmm. What is the cost of learning? Because if you don't learn, it's going to cost you more. But if you learn, yes, it's going to cost you, but the cost is really an investment. And so that's why I that's the impact, is the learning. That's, I go back to Dad. What we learned. You either learned an investment or you learn an expense. Mm-hmm. One of those two.
Yeah.
And you just, you want it to be the investment and not the expense. So, that's so
good.
That's the impact, and that's the cost. So, we ready for our transformational perspective?
Yes, we are. So at the end of the day, we're talking about decision making, right? Whether you tap out, whether you lean in. And, you really have to look at, a lot of times when we make the wrong decisions, or when we are indecisive in general, it's because we're ill prepared. And that ill prepared goes back to that same space of, I'm not taking the time to really evaluate, to look at the cost, to look at, the pros and cons, to look at my situation. Just tapping onto the Thanos effect too. The other part of being prepared is, as you go through the journey and you learn how to make decisions, wisdom also tells you, don't approach every decision the same, even if they're similar.
Right.
There's always different things, to piggyback on that. Like when Thanos made the decision, his motivation, his commitment was clearly evil, right?
Right.
But when Iron Man comes and makes it, even though there's a cost for him and it still is everything, there's a different investment in life and humanity and the greater good that he made. And so you have two people making a similar decision, but for very different reasons and very different outcomes. And so that's usually when we're ill prepared, or when we're being indecisive. It's because we're not taking the time to really, pick apart, what decision do I need to make here? All the things we mentioned. If I quit, what does that look like? If I stay, what does that look like? What got me here in the first place? And so, there is this mindset that says, well, life will bring it to me. I'll just live life and just allow, they say just ride through it and let life happen to you. But I guarantee you, when we do that, we often end up in situations where we are miserable. We end up, pinned down and getting beat by Hulk, right? We end up in situations where we don't overcome because we've been allowing, life to just kind of decide for us. And I know lots of people who that is their truth. Is they're like, oh, it'll work out. Oh, it is what it is. Oh, it's gonna, it's gonna be what it'll be. No, it is what you make it.
Right.
It is what you decide. Right. It is where you put your effort. People say that comment about, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. No, the grass is green where you water it.
Where you water it.
It's green where you put maintenance in. It's green where you put in the effort and decision to make it healthy. And so, you can ride through life and let it happen. And what's so unfortunate, and I'll say this and then kick it to you, is so often the critical years of our life, right? It used to be kind of high school through college. Now, unfortunately, it's getting younger. It's getting middle school and up.
Right.
But it used to be high school through college. These are the most critical years. We often have that mindset. Life will just figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll just float through it. And in some regards, that's parenting, right? Because, young people they're learning this too. But if we could get young people to realize these are some of the most critical years that have the potential to literally change the trajectory of my life. what I'm doing right now at 16, what I'm doing right now at 18, what I'm doing right now at 14 can really determine. I have friends who are locked up to this day off of one really bad decision.
Yeah.
And they will say, I kept thinking I don't need to do this.
Yeah, see, that's the thing.
I kept thinking I shouldn't have done it. Go ahead.
That's the thing. And that's the bottom line, that we have to be prepared to make the right decision for life in the moment that it calls for it. And being prepared for the right decision doesn't mean that you've got to have your entire life mapped out year by year, month by month, week by week, day by day, minute by minute. No, it just simply means, do you know intuitively that this is working for your betterment in terms of where you want to head in life? This decision right now, is it moving you towards what's making you better or what's making you worse? And so if it's making you worse, tap out. If it's making you better, stay committed to it. Stay committed. The bottom line is trust your intuition. It is your moral compass. And then ask the fundamental question, is this moving me towards my goals for myself? And I don't know. I don't have to know the detail. I don't have to say, is this moving me towards being a neurophysicist? No. This is moving me towards the opportunity to be a neurophysicist. Because if I do this and end up in jail, I'm probably not going to be a neurophysicist. I might. Right. Someone might hire me with a degree from Leavenworth Prison University. They might. They might. I'm not going to say they won't. But chances are, they're going to be like, this is not an accredited college. Okay, that's fine. But
this is below Votech.
right. So, does the decision I'm about to make right now to stay in this or to leave this, is it for good? Is it to improve me? Or is it going to stop me from goals I've set? And now I've got to make the decision. I can't stay in it too long. I also got to make the decision. Don't want to leave it too soon, because leaving too soon might keep me from the goals I've set for myself. So the bottom line is, be prepared. How do I be prepared? Intuition, moral compass. You know whether or not something's going to get you there or whether or not it's going to keep you back. You got to make the right decision.
And if you don't, find people that can help you.
That part.
This made me think of Pharrell Williams. He did an interview, and it's been a while, but I could not stop laughing. Speaking of just, tapping out and leaning in. And he talked about growing up. He said, some of my friends, people I hung out with, they, get themselves in trouble and be doing some illegal activities. And he said, I'd tell them when they came around, he said, listen, I'm going to tell. Like, I can't remember. I'm not going to hold it. I'm going to talk. So y'all need to not tell me. Y'all need to not. He said,
don't
pretty
do
soon
it around me.
They just stopped coming around. And said, you know what? Yeah. And he was like, no, I'll tell.
Right.
I'll tell.
Right.
I'm not going to remember the secret. And the way he described it, it was just so genuine and honest. He was like, that's not my journey.
Because,
I know that's not for me. I'm not about that life.
My journey on where I'm going, if I write it down, it should not include words like aiding and abetting, obstruction of justice. Right? It shouldn't include words like that. That's not going to get me where listen, I've drawn the map. You see this map right here? You see this road right here? It don't say like
I schedule it.
Right. It doesn't say commit perjury. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. So no, I'm gonna tell it.
What made it so great was that there was a lot of people were making comments on we're raised in really difficult situations. A lot of young men of color. It's a struggle, and he was really just like cutting all those excuses down. No. I'm going to tell. Like, I'm going to tell. I don't have to be a part of this environment. I don't choose it. He's like, so if they're saying it was rough for me, no, you just got to say, I'm going to tell. Don't tell me. It's not going to work out for you.
That's it. Show them your vision board. It ain't on here. It ain't on here.
That's not part of it.
I'm telling you now.
I love it.
That's so funny.
All right, so we want to hop into our quick shot.
Yeah, that story actually leads right into that's a good quick shot. So leads right into mine. So I was, again, the whole thing, tapping out. We're talking about making decisions to tap out and stay committed. I don't know why I found this so funny on Twitter. It said, the reason why purgatory exists is there because God sometimes has commitment issues and can't make a decision. Yeah.
That's so awesome. I just saw a visual of us looking up saying, "Today, Father."
Right. No,
Today,
I had the visual of God looking down at purgatory talking about, I don't know. I don't know.
I'm still
maybe
undecided.
I'm still undecided. Like, I don't know where to tap out or lean in on you. I don't know. I'm still making my decision. Wait, listen. And God, how long you think it'll take to make a decision? Oh, about a day. Then reads in the Bible, a day is like 1,000 days for God. Really? Really?
I see the angel Gabriel standing there like, so Gabriel, any updates? And,
right. Nope.
He's not.
Right.
Not today. Maybe tomorrow. Oh, that is so good. I love it. Well, I have a very quick and short one. These are just a couple of examples of unique situations. And then you can decide based on this scenario if you would tap out, or if you would lean in and press through. Just a couple quick short ones. Okay, here's the first one. So you just let me know if you would tap out or lean in. All right, number 1. You find your dream home, but it's in a location with horrible weather.
No, I tap out. Yeah. Well, no, wait, no.
It's your dream home.
Oh, yeah. See, you know what? No. I'm leaning in because the introvert in me says, I ain't leaving my house anyway. And the introvert in me says, you better not just pop up out my house because hopefully the weather, the acts of God keep you from just showing up at my house. And then even if you call and you can get me to answer, when's a good day? I don't know. There's like a tornado tomorrow. There's a flood the next day. We'll look at the almanac and we'll decide, in a couple of seasons. I'm leaning in. I am leaning in.
Too funny. All right, number 2. Your coworkers tell you that you are really brilliant and intelligent, but you're a total jerk.
No, I'm leaning in on that one too.
Oh, that's terrible.
I'm leaning in on that one too. Because at this point,
you don't want to try to.
No, at this point, my intelligence has already proved its superiority over these people. So I have absolutely no need to be nice to them. You can call me whatever you want to call, but what you ain't finna call me is dumber than you. So, I'm leaning in.
He's gonna double. He's gonna triple the jerkosity.
I am doubling down on the jerkity. I'm going to the highest of jerkstivity. Absolutely.
Oh, it's funny. All right, number 3. Your coworker has a hygiene problem, and someone at work asks you to say something to them.
Oh man. Oh. I'm leaning in because they got to know.
Oh no!
I just got to figure out how to say it. I just got to figure out how to say it. Like if I get them in Secret Santa, I'm buying them some stuff from Bed Bath & Beyond. Victoria's Secret.
You're choosing them for Secret Santa.
Lush. Right, I'm choosing them. Listen, trust me. You gonna want me to pick
They're
this
like
person.
a Secret Santa. No. I want the
dude.
problem as well as I do.
I want this dude. Absolutely. I'm leaning in. I'm leaning in.
I think we have to question why they would ask you to do it, right? I think there's something telling about
that's
that.
The first, right? So first of all, right? That's the first question I have.
You picked me?
If you pick me, you obviously want that person to know because I'm going to tell it. I'm going to tell it like Moses on the mountain. I'm telling it.
Oh, God. All right, just 2 more. Number 4, a little kid is crying because he heard that Santa isn't real. He asks you if it's true.
I'm leaning in. That's not even a question. I'm leaning.
So terrible.
I'm leaning.
Step out.
You can stop crying, young man. Santa don't exist. Let it go. Let it go. You can stop crying. You didn't get that bite? Blame your mammy. Blame your mammy. I ain't even delaying.
He's already crying. You're like, you're doubling down.
Hey, listen, but I need your tears to be real. Don't cry. He don't exist. You really mad you didn't get what you want. Blame your daddy.
All right, here's the last and final one. Your friend has asked you to keep her accountable for her weight loss goals. At dinner together, you really want to have an extra fattening dessert without her.
So wait, let me.
You better tap out. You better tap out.
You said she's a friend. Wait.
Look at you trying to define it.
Listen. Yeah, what's my relationship with her again? Can you remind me of my?
It is a friendship.
So just a friend. Just a friend. Just like Bismarcky, just a friend, right? Okay.
I knew it couldn't be wife because I know you.
No, if it's white, I'm tapping out. Neither one of us eating dessert. I'll be passive aggressive. Neither one of us eating dessert. So, I'll put some.
Make a point of that. I would like a chocolate mousse, but I'm not going to have it.
I'm gonna give a picture of a couple eating chocolate mousse. This could be us, but you over there dieting. So,
get your life together.
I'll put some powdered sugar on an apple, and that's about it. Put some stevia on a blackberry. Like, girl, let's go.
Look, you be like, we ain't even going out to eat. What's the point? We ain't even going to the restaurant.
Right. But no, if she's just a friend, no, I'm gonna lean in. I'll be like, so I guess we done with the diet. I guess we done with the attempts. Okay, cool.
You're supposed to hold her accountable.
That's it. We done with or
as you order the dessert.
Yeah. That's it. Listen, or that's it. I'll be like, she's having water, but give me the double chocolate mousse, 3 chocolate layered stack with the fudge oozing over.
Oh my God.
And I'll eat it right in front of her.
Bring her a tea unsweetened. Unsweetened.
Bring her another salad. Bring her a salad with some honey mustard, but make sure that sauce is light. Keto friendly.
Oh, God, that is too funny. I can't believe you didn't tap out at all. Shame on you.
Nah.
All right, bro. What do you have for our final blow?
So much of making the decision whether to tap out or lean in really is based on learning, right? It's based on knowing yourself, knowing if you're equipped, and those or the situation that's going with you, knowing if it's equipped. But learning is progressive. And the reason why it's so important to learn is because of what learning can do. And immediately when we started talking about this app, I was reminded of Proverbs chapter 4, verse 7. And Solomon writes, the beginning of wisdom is this: get wisdom. Get it. Like, what'd you learn? Get wisdom. Mm-hmm. Then he says, and with all thy getting, get an understanding. If I can understand what I'm equipped with, my motivation, who's going with me, the situation with me, if I can understand that, then I'll immediately understand whether or not I need to end my continued journey with this set of circumstances, or I can continue my continued journey with this set of circumstances. So tapping out doesn't mean you stop. It just means I'm letting go of this content because it can't keep going with me. So it's this position where whether you stay or go, you are consistently gaining knowledge. You're learning the entire time. And now what God says through this verse is turn that knowledge into wisdom. And that's exactly what wisdom is. It's knowledge in action. What did you learn? Now go do something with it. The turning of knowledge into wisdom is really the only cost that you should have to pay. Like I said, what'd you learn? You either learned investment or you learned some type of debt equity or some type of expense. But when you truly learn and turn it into wisdom, it's never an expense. It's always an investment. Even when you have to cut or tap out, leave a situation or relationship, you still turn that into an investment into yourself. So whether you stay too long or whether you let go too soon or you did everything right, always invest in your wisdom and your knowledge and your understanding so that you know the next time around at an earlier junction whether it's time to cut this detail off or keep going with this detail. And again, that action may be letting go of a relationship, letting go of a situation, or it may be you need more development. Stick in there a little bit more. You need more skills. You need more training, because when you finish the development, when you finish the releasing process, so whether you're letting go or tapping in, whether you're tapping out or leaning in, when you finish it, ultimately what's going to happen in this journey called life, and what's going to happen as you keep going towards your goal, is you're going to attain new relationships and attain new situations. And they are based, their greatness, their opportunity, their next level is going to be based on you turning what you learned into wisdom, knowledge into action. I can either invite or attract worse situations because I ain't learned nothing, or I can, in all my ways, get wisdom, in all my ways, get an understanding, get wisdom. And now the next part of my path is so much better because I turn what I learned into an investment into myself. So for me, that's kind of like, that's the final blow. That's the purpose of making the decision, so that I can take what I learned, good and bad, and turn it into an investment in myself, so that I never miss the overall goal. I'll never miss my goal as long as the decision I make is an investment in myself, so that whatever comes next on my path makes me better, because I turn that wisdom in, or I turn that knowledge into action. So that's my final blow for this episode.
I love it. Fantastic. All right, so we're going to wrap out. As always, we thank you guys so much for joining us for the Savage Siblings podcast, where we are brutally honest, relentlessly transparent, and unapologetically authentic. Please leave us your comments, your thoughts on all of our platforms. If you have thoughts about tapping in or leaning in, if you have thoughts about 80s, 90s, 2000s wrestling, best matches, if you have thoughts about Hulk Hogan versus Hollywood Hulk, whatever it is, we want to hear about it. Please share your perspective so we can connect with you. Shout out to Ronnie Maxwell Music, our music producer, music supervisor. Shout out to Dwayne McClendon, our post-production supervisor, sound editor. Huge thanks to our parents, Gene and Dolores Evans. And again, thank you to you for tuning in. We are signing off, and remember, don't go through life alone. We'll see you next time.
All right, y'all.